Your dog or cat has been poisoned. You want to induce vomiting. You want to know what to use, should you be giving it or not, when is it not safe to give. Find exactly what to do in this video. Hello you guys, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new, welcome. If you yet to do so, I'd love for you to check out my new free newsletter. And as well, if you're feeling super inspired, I'd love for you to check out my page on Patreon. You can click the links below for more information. I want to thank one of my subscribers who commented on one of my videos and said, Dr. Jones, I would love to see a video on how to induce vomiting in my dogs and cats. You know, what's safe, what not safe, how to give it, when not to do it. So thanks for commenting. I love your suggestions. Secondly, this is the video. If your dog or your cat who likes to eat things, say they've eaten something, potentially toxic. Chocolate, such as this raw cocoa comes to mind. Murray here, he loves food, he loves getting into things, and it won't surprise me if I'm going to need to be doing this at some point in my near future. I know some of you are watching this in an emergency situation, so this is what to use, this is the amount, this is how to give it. So the only safe thing to induce vomiting in our dogs and cats is this. It's 3% hydrogen peroxide. And when we're looking at doses, we're looking at 1 teaspoon, which is this, 5 mils per 10 pounds of body weight. So the first thing, I would much rather you first talk to either an emergency veterinarian, your regular veterinarian, someone at poison control, explaining this is a situation before you're starting to induce vomiting. There are certain indications and times when it's not safe to induce vomiting, so ideally you're doing it under a professional who's going to give you specific guidance. But that being said, there isn't always time. Some of you can't get on the phone. There are differing reasons. You can't afford to bring your dog or cat into an emergency clinic. You're confident they just swallowed something potentially toxic and need to induce vomiting. So here are some things to take into consideration and steps to do and how you'd actually be doing it correctly. So let's just say Tula happened to consume a couple tablespoons of this cocoa, which is got a serious amount of theobromine that would potentially cause her to seizure. If it was early on, the early stages, darn right, it's the first thing I would do, induce vomiting. But if she's progressed to the point where she's seizuring, she's showing clinical signs, then I wouldn't. If something caustic such as bleach, where if it's regurgitated it'll actually burn and cause a serious amount of damage to the esophagus, to the mouth. If that's been consumed, that's the source of the toxin, then you also don't want to induce vomiting. Third, if your pet is a brachycephalic, that means these guys that have these pushed in faces, such as the pugs, etc. They're more at risk for a condition called aspiration pneumonia. Likewise, if there's an underlying medical condition, such as megaesophagus, where the esophagus is very thin and dilated, not working correctly, once again, these guys are at much bigger risk of developing aspiration pneumonia. Then if vomiting needs to be induced, it really needs to be under the direction of a veterinarian. In this video, I'm going to demonstrate with Tula. I'm going to be using water, not peroxide. That is our 3% peroxide. There's our water, which we're going to use with Tula. So the peroxide dose, it is 1 teaspoon per 10 pounds of body weight. Tula is 20 pounds, meaning she would get 2 teaspoons. Peroxide, we're not going to use today. Water we are. I'm going to give Tula's measured amount, which be 2 teaspoons or 10 mils each. Ideally, you'll have a syringe. If you don't, if all you have is a measuring spoon, so be it, or something like a turkey baster, but just obviously use whatever you have. So when you're going to be giving it to your dog or cat, what I want you to do is just open up their upper lip. I want you just to get it into the side of their mouth, and you just squirt a little bit in at a time. See how easy it is? Not. Okay, with a little tool. So just squirt in. I'd expect to see your dog start to swallow like she is. And if it's peroxide, you're going to see a little bit of foaming. And you can just do a small amount. You know, with tool, I'm just doing 5 mils at a time. Oh, not too fast. Some of that's going to get spit out because you want your dog to ingest as much of that peroxide as possible. You should be seeing your dog or cat vomit within 10 minutes. If they don't vomit in that 10-minute period of time, then that can be followed up with a second dosing. Wanted to try the peroxide. Wanted to try it just. Oh, water. Peroxide. This kind of tangy, almost fizzy thing, and just that like little teeny, like what, fraction of a mil makes you potentially want to vomit. You can actually feel it foaming in the back of your mouth. And that's how it's working, right? So it hits those mucous membranes as it goes down into the stomach, causes all that foaming action, and instantly causes your dog or cat to vomit. I encourage you guys to at least have hydrogen peroxide on hand. You know, it's one of those like simple things I think every pet owner should have in case you need to induce vomiting in an emergency. You know, if you're dealing with something like chocolate poisoning or your dog's just consumed a whole bunch of grapes. And just learn how to give it, you know, in case of an emergency situation. Thank you so much for watching this edition of Veterinary Secrets. I'd love for you to click up there to subscribe to my channel. Click down there to sign up for notifications, you won't miss a video. And then when you click the link further in the box below and you sign up for my newsletter, I can send you my free book on how to heal your pets at home with my top natural remedies. And where else can you see people sipping peroxide?